Robert Dubois. He's in prison for putting Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet.
I'm not joining your Suicide Squad.
We'll see.
My court date is coming up. And Miss Waller said maybe you could help me out.
You're flexing in my door!
Everyone stand down.
Miss Waller, I don't...
Stand down!
I wouldn't take such extreme measures if this mission went more important than you could possibly imagine. Are you in or out? Good. Let's meet your team.
It's okay, I'm not okay.
Each member is chosen for his or her own completely unique set of abilities.
I need to feel the raindrops on my head.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Had to go number 2.
Good to know.
Is this thing a dog?
A dog? What kind of dog do you think it is, mate?
I'm gonna go with Afghan Hound.
Oh my god, is it a werewolf?
Yo, they sent me next to a werewolf! Yo, let me out!
Hey, he's not a werewolf, okay? He's a weasel. He's harmless. I mean, he's not harmless. He's killed 27 children, but, you know.
Your mission is to destroy every trace of something known only as Project Starfish. Any questions?
Starfish is a slang term for a butthole. Think there's any connection?
No.
No. All right. Let's get it. This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
I'm a superhero!
Where's my dad?
I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
Ratatouille, what do you got?
Bird.
Now wait. Stay off the comm.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Movie Bits. My name is David.
And I'm Tony.
And we are coming at you with a trailer review reaction to...
The Suicide Squad, the sequel to the Suicide Squad. I think this is...
coming out August 6th of 2021.
Yes, I think this is like the second trailer?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it is,
I don't know where the first one went, but...
Oh. And that will be the tone of this video today.
I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the first Suicide Squad.
Neither was I.
But we'll see what happens because, the director from Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, found himself over in DC after he made an unsavory joke a few years ago about pedophilia. And Disney had to let him go because of all of the blowback against the joke. In the time period that Marvel Studios stopped working with James Gunn, he ended up signing a contract with DC to do the Suicide Squad. And even in this trailer, this is a DC trailer, they advertised it as director James Gunn of Guardians of the Galaxy. So DC recognizes the success of Marvel and the fact that they were able to get one of Marvel's most successful directors, even though almost immediately upon him signing the contract with DC, Marvel Studios reached back out to him and his publicity team, and they worked it out, and he was able to come back to Marvel Studios and is currently working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Which is in its final phases of production.
Right. So, I mean, that makes sense with all the comedy that's in this trailer. It's very much like Guardians of the Galaxy comedy. But do you think he'll come back to DC?
I don't know if he'll continue to work between both studios. That was probably, honestly, this whole scandal put him in a powerful negotiating position. So in order to come back to Marvel Studios, having just signed a contract with DC, I would assume that he will be working with both studios going forward. And it would be interesting if this sets a precedent and allows for multiple directors to go back and forth between the studios.
Yeah,
and if DC will be able to pick up some of what makes Marvel successful in the movie market where DC has been struggling.
And what I was going to say is, I think that's the problem. I think DC needs more consistency through and through. Yeah. But it's so funny. It's kind of like, we're in the golden age of comic book films. So, yes. First start off on paper, but now we're in film. But the same thing happened in the comic book age. You had different animators and storytellers going between both of these studios to animate. So it's the same thing is happening now, but with directors.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay, so let's get into this trailer.
Yeah.
So we start off with a scene of Idris Elba. He's
playing what looks like Deadshot.
That's what we assumed.
But he's not playing Deadshot because
we had
Will
to look
Smith
it up.
Was Deadshot, and since Will Smith did not want to come back and play Deadshot going forward, rather than just cast Idris Elba as the new Deadshot, they decided to just have a new character who is basically Deadshot but not Deadshot.
But not really.
And this really is aggravating as
consistency. That's what I'm talking about.
It's okay to replace, to recast and keep the same character. I will use the Fresh Prince Aunt Viv comparison. Right? Aunt Viv was a dark-skinned sister. She was
sassy.
Taller. She was sassy. And they ended up recasting her with this light-skinned debutante.
Right.
And
we went with it.
We went with it. We didn't care. She's still Aunt Viv. She wasn't even playing the same character.
Not even in the same way.
Not nearly in the same way. And we accepted it and moved on. Please, for the love of God, Hollywood, start recasting these roles. Keep the character, get a new actor. We really don't care who plays the character. I would have loved to see Idris Elba continue to pick up playing Deadshot, and that way we wouldn't have lost any of that, the
continuity,
that chemistry that existed between Deadshot and Harley Quinn in the first Suicide Squad. So now we lose all of that chemistry, which really is pertinent to the comics and worked in Suicide Squad DC animated films. I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, so we open with Idris Elba. After that, we see like a sequence of him. He's like, dust is falling. I guess he just got finished doing something. Then we end up, he's in prison. And then we have Viola Davis's character.
Playing Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller. But I like this scene. Like, it looks like he's about to like stab her with a pin. I guess she must have told him about this new mission. But he's like yelling in her face, and she yells for everybody to stand down. And I like that scene because we get to see how tough she is, like just unmoved.
I mean, true Amanda Waller. I mean, we've got big Amanda Waller, skinny Amanda Waller. It don't matter what Amanda Waller you're dealing with. They call her the Wall for a reason. It doesn't matter that you have all the powers in the world and she has none. She came prepared. She knows everything about you. She knows everything about your family and everybody you've ever been in contact with. And she's going to maneuver and make sure she gets exactly what she needs out of you to do her job, which is basically national security.
Yeah. So that whole scene, you said her being the Wall. I wrote down really quickly like Denzel or Morgan Freeman in Lean on Me, her delivery with Viola. And we all know that Viola Davis is a powerhouse actress, but it's really cool to see her occupy that strong space.
Yes. I mean, perfect casting there.
Perfect.
Viola Davis as the Wall. Right. It just makes sense.
So apparently we find out Idris is arrested for having shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, and I guess it put Superman down for a little bit. In the ICU for a little bit. Yeah. I mean, and then there's like a hodgepodge of, we get introduced to the different characters. We see them together, the group dynamic. They now brought back that shark guy. I can't remember his name.
King Shark.
Which I wanted him to be in the first film, but then instead they had...
Which King Shark basically major Groot vibes. He can barely speak.
No.
King Shark is a shark.
He's like an idiot.
it's Groot. It's the same thing.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right, or like the Hulk, almost.
Yeah, I mean, in a way. Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah, strong guy. We get to see a lot of different weird characters, and that's what the Suicide Squad is. A hodgepodge of characters, hodgepodge of characters, coming together. Always Harley Quinn, she's the popular girl. She's always a part of it. Margot Robbie looks fantastic.
She does. She's so pretty.
She's beautiful.
Right.
Harley Quinn scenes are always funny.
Yeah, but I'm loving, they're showing her power set. She's good with them hands. Yeah. Harley Quinn's got them hands. All this flipping around and throwing people around and running off the sides of the wall and kicking people in the face. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Very acrobatic, a lot of acrobatics with her fighting style definitely works. But it very reminiscent of Black Widow.
Yeah.
So you just basically take Harley Quinn and make her one of the top assassins and hand-to-hand fighters in DC Comics without her having to do any of the work.
And this one, she didn't have her like mallet or hammer thing, right? She had like a staff this time, right? So they're giving her a new weapon, a staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we see them on a helicopter together. They crack a few jokes, very much reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm not surprised you said that was their director. I love the outfits. I love the costumes. It seems very bright and colorful.
Yes.
You always said
James Gunn.
He used to always say the DC films, he didn't like the filter that they would put over the movies.
Yes.
This one doesn't seem to have that weird...
dark filter.
Dark grayish filter, kind of golden filter. This one is bright and colorful, and that's what we need. This is a comic book movie.
When we say we want a film to be dark, we're meaning dark in tone and substance.
Not literally dark.
We're adults here. You don't literally have to put a dark filter on everything.
Like, oh, this is moody.
Mr. Snyder, in order to make a good film. It's cheesy. It's samey. I respect directors, for having a style. As people into singing, we say that their, director, that their cinematographic style, however you want to say it, or like their riffs and runs. For what singers have, singers are comfortable doing certain types of riffing in certain ways. But at some point, you have to challenge yourself when you've been making films that we've been enjoying for 20 years now, almost 20 years now. I want James Gunn, Zack Snyder, even though technically I feel like he did more of that with the most recent zombie film. What was that? The zombie film we just watched?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
He actually did it without his filter, so I'm hoping that he could do that with superhero films going forward, should he get another opportunity in the genre.
Yeah.
No, everything doesn't need to look like 300s. Zach.
Right. So what would you say based off of everything that we saw? Do you give this a thumbs up? Are you excited to see it? Or do you give it a meh? Or do you give it a thumbs down?
It's the Suicide Squad for me. I'm very meh about the biggest part of the Suicide Squad, which is Harley Quinn. Like I said, you give her all of the skill set with none of the work having to have gone into it. We built the popularity of the character off the back of Batman and the Joker without her having to really do any of the work on her own. I like Amanda Waller. I like James Gunn, but again, kind of ripping off Guardians of the Galaxy over here at DC. They're not breaking any ground. They're not doing anything new. So, in terms of where we are in DC, versus, Marvel, if we want to describe it in those ways, DC continues to lag behind. And it looks like the best thing they have, they got using Marvel's formula with one of Marvel's most successful directors. So for me, I give it a real average, and I would challenge, DC to actually put out films as if they were Warner Brothers Studios. I don't know. So, meh.
So I would say, on the in line with that, I would just say, just from DC, I would just like to see more character development, more storytelling. This was a fun trailer. It's cool to see a bunch of different action sequences and explosions, but we want so much more. Where is the depth of story here? And they tried it a little bit with Idris Elba, showing that he has a daughter and that, he's not really a bad guy. But we don't even know who this guy is. This is a completely new character, and we're starting from scratch. I just want to see some adequate character development before we get to films where we're having a group dynamic. I need to know who these people are individually before I care about them working together. And I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us and do a lot of backstory in this film. I don't know, we'll see. But I say it's a meh for me as well. The first one was okay, and we'll see. This one looks bright and vibrant and a lot of action, but we want so much more, DC. We just don't know how to tell you.
Yeah. Get a real captain to pilot your shit, and be consistent, and stop throwing things at the wall. But because you don't have direction, you're one of the most successful and the largest movie studios in the world, and we need to start seeing products that are a reflection of the amount of resources that you have, which are abundant, which are second to only Disney Studios. Everything that Warner Brothers has done with DC in the past 10 years, as far as having some sort of direction, is sloppy, inconsistent, and major trash, in my opinion.
Well, there you go. If you like this episode of Movie Bits, please don't forget to like, comment, and
subscribe. And please sound off in the comment section below. I would really like to hear from you DCEU fans.
I'm sure they're going to drag us.
Right? They're going to drag us, right?
But we're ready for it. It's all in good fun.
You're going to come with the spirit of MAGA, still thinking that Donald Trump is going to be president in 2020.
Stop it. And on that note, we'll see you again on a new episode of Movie Bits. Bye, guys.